We are Steve and Jill.
Together, we've been buying and reselling land since the 90s.
Our data-centric approach leaves our buyers asking, how can you sell it so cheap?
Here on the Land Academy Show,
We answer that and more. I'm Stephen Jack Butala.
And I'm Jill DeWit, and this is the Land Academy Show.
This is episode number 2106 today. Jill and I are talking about how to fund your real estate deal with equity. We talked, all week this week, Jill and I are talking about the 5 basic ways to fund your real estate deal. And we talked about debt yesterday, funding it with debt like you do with a mortgage, which, Jill and I are not big fans of. We've tried it and it's not, over the years, it just didn't work for us. Equity, which we've built an entire company on, is our favorite way to fund transactions. And we'll talk about the differences in a second, the pros and cons anyway.
I'm trying to think. The first, you mentioned the funding with debt. Like, we really, what, less than 1% have we even considered that? We just don't do it. I'm trying to think of an example where we have done it and it worked.
There isn't one.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
And that's why we just don't do it. Largely because, I made a lot of debt mistakes before Jill and I joined forces. Okay. And that's really kind of what's going on.
Okay. I'm like, I don't remember being involved in those, which is good. It happened before me.
You know what I should have talked about yesterday from a debt standpoint? Because people in finance, especially from an academic standpoint, I'm going to say maybe people who have a little bit less real world experience, but more academic experience, like a professor, are going to make a bunch of arguments about utilizing financing or debt to leverage what you're trying to do. And I think there's really appropriate situations like that for that. An example might be, and it's out of the real estate realm, using debt to finance a company where you've already done 3 or 4 or 5 companies and you know exactly what to do. You have the customers lined up. You just need a really inexpensive source of capital and a repayment schedule that's rational. And so I think that makes all kinds of sense.
Yep. In
our real estate world, this day and age, especially with the mortgage rates as high as they are, I don't think it makes as much sense, especially if you don't know what you're doing and you're new, you're going to get yourself into some trouble. You're going to get over leveraged. Each day on the show, we answer a question from our Land Academy member Discord forum and take a deep dive into land-related topics by popular request.
Okay. Caesar put a graphic in here. Is there anything more below this or no?
No.
Okay. So do you want me to read the whole graphic basically?
Here, I'll just do it.
Okay.
Because I'm real familiar with it.
All right, good.
Caesar says, what do you think about this? Or question mark, I should say. And there's a copy and pasted graphic of a Redfin housing market prediction for 2025. It's a 4-point prediction. Yeah. Number 1, U.S. home prices will rise 4% year over year as buyers outnumber sellers. Certain markets may see prices fall and rise further. That's the key to rise and fall further. The whole key to this question is, yes, this might be a national perspective, but certain markets plus or minus.
2025 predictions, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 2, mortgage rates are likely to remain around the high 6% range. Yes, I agree. Home sales will increase between 2 and 9% next year due to pent-up demand, possibly. More homes will be built, ultimately improving rental and home affordability. Completely disagree with that. Redfin is, I think, a publicly traded company in the business of keeping itself, like many, many companies, keeping itself on the internet and in front of everybody and their competitors like Zillow and Realtor.com and things like that. Redfin, unlike Zillow, has a huge network of brokers. Redfin is in the business of convincing you that their real estate agents are better than regular ones.
That's funny.
And so they're posting this optimism. This is all optimistic. Home prices will rise 4%. Every single market that Jill and I have analyzed, and we share this all the time. I don't care if we're going out to dinner or it's a very boring component to our relationship. We talk about.
Did you say boring component? Yes, it is.
Because there's a ton of not boring.
Right now?
Ton of not stuff boring. Not boring stuff about Jill.
Yeah. You notice I'm bored.
You're bored right now?
A little bit.
We're going to see a huge market change in a lot of markets next year.
This year
Redfin's prediction is incorrect.
It's 2025.
Yeah, this year.
This year.
Will we see a 4% year over year rise if you average whatever's happening in Southern California from coast to coast? Yeah, maybe that might be true. But unless you live in a market that has been identified all over the internet as one that probably will gain, you're probably going to lose. Most markets are going to lose a huge amount of equity value. Yeah. I believe. And Jill and I are set up to buy hundreds and hundreds of houses next year. Our company's called Land Academy, and there's a reason we're choosing to buy houses next year. And it's because these market changes are housing affordability for a regular family to afford a house is getting more unlikely. Mm-hmm. And so when those things happen, prices go down. And it's very specific market to market to market. That's number one. Number two, mortgage rates are highest. In my modern professional life, they're the highest they've been. A house, it costs twice as much to live in a house than it did about 36 months ago, only because of mortgage rates. The good news is that this young generation, they are huge in numbers. It's the largest generation ever in the history of the world. And they're buying houses and they want to buy houses and they will find a way. But that demand is not going to make up for the fact that the wages are low and mortgage rates are high and all of that. So I see huge turmoil in the housing market this year.
Hint, by the way, we're doing houses in addition to land.
Yes. Today's topic, how to fund your real estate deal with equity. My favorite way. Yours probably too. Mm-hmm. So like we said yesterday, you can go take on debt, do a real estate deal, and then resell it and repay the debt along with it. And you will incur what Jill called correctly carrying costs. That's no fun. Why wouldn't you call somebody like us or anybody else in the Land Academy group when you find a great real estate deal that you know you can flip with any type of real estate deal and take on some equity financing where you get some expertise, some seasonal expertise like you would with us or many Land Academy members, and which increases your potential for success. Is it a little bit more expensive than debt? Sometimes. But you're also completely deferring or dissipating your risk. So here's a regular equity deal for us. We'll be the funders in this case. A Land Academy member finds a deal. It's their model is to buy for 30 and sell for 90. Buy for 30,000, sell for 90,000. It gets presented to us in the correct format. They have all the Land Academy education. So we know that they know what they're doing. And they present it to Jill, and Jill says, I agree. I agree that Jill runs all of our deal funding. I agree that this is a deal where you were going to buy it for 30 and we're going to sell it for 90,000. So I'm happy to fund the $30,000 in its entirety with all the closing costs and everything. So you, Land Academy member, have to come up with nothing. I will take on all the risk. If the whole thing goes sideways, then you can throw me the keys figuratively. Mm-hmm. And I'll figure it out. And so now you have no risk. Yeah. You did your job. You found a great real estate deal. And we're going to split the profit of the transaction with you based on some percentage. If you're brand new, it's probably going to be 50%. If you've done a bunch of deals, it could be as low as 10%. 10 to us, 90 to you. Mm-hmm. That in a community is the way, my friends, that you get deals done. It's also the original, for real, 0% down. No, you don't need any money to get started. All the stuff that you used to see on late night TV and now you see it on a Facebook stream. You do not need any money to get started. That's very real. But you got to find a great real estate deal.
Which is not hard.
No, that's why we're here. Yep. That's why we've been here for 30 years, finding great real estate deals.
That really is the best way. People, this is I'm talking land or houses, fill in the blank. We've done it for all kinds of different properties, large acreage and, ranches, things like that. And if it's just a really big thing, and I don't even want to take on the whole $1.2 million, check, I'm going to bring in some people. Just reach out to us and we'll figure it out together. That goes on all the time behind the scenes in Land Academy where people are doing partnerships and putting things together like that. But the main thing is, I watch and read and hear so many people thinking they can't get into this space because they don't have the money to buy the properties. So like, yeah, I can afford this. I can afford the education. I can afford the mail. But boy, when it comes time, I'm not going to have the $30,000 left over to buy that one. And what if I want to buy 3 of them? What if 3 great things come up? I don't have $100,000 sitting around. and or maybe it's a house. You want to do this with like a house. You're like, I know what's going on. I know I can do this. I'm really smart. And I found these great things, but I don't have the $350,000 to buy the house that's worth $500,000. Well, guess what? We're here. We're sitting here. And like Jack always says, we mean it. No good deal should go to waste. And we will fund it for you, partner with you. It's so easy. Whether or not, if you have some skin in the game too, maybe you don't have all the money. You just need half of it. I'm happy to do that. Put both our names on the deed. Everybody feels great.
We do that all the time.
Mm-hmm. I love that. If I'm not really sure about it, I'll go, how about you put in some money too? Because then if you have some skin in the game, you got my pair of eyes. I've already kind of approved it. I'm like, I see it, but let's do this together. And you're like, all right, whatever you've got, put it in, or you have zero, and we'll work it out together.
Here's some extreme examples of equity financing. Equity financing has been going on behind the scenes among rich people since there's been money. Mm-hmm. But debt is what everybody talks about. True. And so it's that same old story. So here's a couple of really extreme identifiable scenarios for equity financing that are not in the real estate space. Tesla, Elon Musk started Tesla with his own money, tons of money, and went broke. And what did he do? He took the company public. He chose to give away 40 or 50% of the company, or whatever the numbers are, I don't know the exact numbers, to the public in lieu of cash that they buy stock with. That's equity financing. And so, and it worked out. So he got very, very wealthy because his shares, his 51% of the company, or whatever the numbers are, became more valuable as the value of the stock went up and down because everybody put money in. That's equity financing. Here's another example. SpaceX was equity financed by a small group of people. It never went public because he proved himself with Tesla and improved himself in general to the world. And he's an amazing marketer. If not anything else, he's a great marketer. He raised capital with some extremely wealthy people and chose not to take that public. There's still always rumors that he might do that. Those are equity finance deals. So a big complaint, and we're going to talk about this tomorrow with syndication, how syndication works. A big complaint for ever has been, well, I'm just a regular person. I don't have access to that. Right. And that's just not the case. Right. You do, because you can find a piece of real estate, call Jill, and you have complete access to total financing.
Yep. For anybody. Just needs to be a great deal.
Join us tomorrow where we discuss, it's Thursday, we're going to discuss how to fund a real estate deal with a syndication. You are not alone in your real estate ambition. We are Jack and Jill. Information
and inspiration
to buy undervalued property.
We hope you find our content valuable and we appreciate your support. If you have not already, please check out our channel and hit the subscribe button.
And your comments and suggestions help us to create the content you're here for. Hitting the like button helps to support our channel's algorithm and gauge your interest for future shows.